Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Indiana Steel expansion franchise. So, we are just about to start season 2 of this franchise. So, we just went through the preseason games. Let's take a quick look at what our team is looking like and the stats. So, during preseason, we had Jack Quinn, who amassed 5 points. Sam Gerard, also 5 points. Niederreiter, Culp, and Anderson with 4 points. So the points were spread out pretty much all over this team. So it's looking good. Everybody got at least 1 point during preseason, which is great. And then for the goalies, Jeremy Swayman took 5 games. He went 2-1-2 with a 904, 289 goals against. And then Spencer Knight 1-0-1 with a 907 and a 275 goals against average. So if this is the goals against average we're going to be getting this year, I think it's going to be promising, and we do have a shot at the playoffs, I believe. We can take a look at what I did to get us ready for this season. So the first thing I did is I went and assigned our scouts. So, like I explained last season, basically what I do is I send all the scouts out to the different leagues, make sure I have enough scouts for each league that needs to be scouted, and then after that, I just send them out for potential and comparison up until basically the end of the year. So in this case, it's right up until December 31st. And then in January, we'll be able to send the scouts out again and check other things that need to be looked at. I looked at our roster, and I feel like we're missing 2 NHL forwards right now. I don't like, as you can see at the bottom right here, we have 19 of 21 skaters. We have 7 defensemen on the team, but we only have 12 forwards that I'm willing to have at the NHL level. If you look in the system, our highest rated forward is 77 overall, and it's all players that I want to grow. So I don't think it makes any sense to call them up. So I took a look at what we had in free agency. And after doing a little bit of investigative work, I've come to the conclusion that there's 2 players we should go pick up to have as backup for our team. And they can be good players to jump into our lineup if injuries occur and we need them to play. So the first one here is a veteran presence in Eric Stahl. He's 77 overall, and he fits our forward 3 lines, but he also helps on the power play, which is good if one of our power play guys goes down, he can jump in and replace. The other player I was also looking at is Kiviranta. So he's a sniper, 77 overall as well, and he fits our forward line 4, and he's also in the penalty killing lines. So we have a little bit of flexibility with these backup players. So if a penalty killing player goes down, we can add him in. If a power play player goes down, we can add Stahl, and then we can mismatch them in line 4 and line 3 depending on what we need. So I'm going to go ahead and offer them a contract, and then we'll be able to fast forward to the start of the season and get this season on the road. All right, here we go. So Kiviranta took our offer, and Eric Stahl also took our offer. So both these guys will be added to the NHL roster. They'll be our backups in case of injury, and then we'll be able to jump into our first game. All right, here we go. We are ready to begin season 2 of this franchise. So as always, I'm going to be simming ahead. I'm doing a live sim, and the game goes to overtime, we'll jump in. If not, we'll just sim along, try to get through this first part of the season, get to December 31st, send the scouts back out, and then I'm going to try to get us all the way up until February 26th, 27th, right before the trade deadline. And that's where I'm going to leave off the episode, and then we'll be able to discuss a little bit what we think we should be doing with this team, and then get ourselves ready for the trade deadline, which will be the next episode. So, without further ado, let's sim our first game and see if we can start off the season with a win. All right, so we get off to a very hot start. 2 goals in the first minute and a half, and we have now a 2-1 lead because Tolvanen, Potts went in for Seattle, and we're back tied 2-2 with Schwartz putting one in on Swayman. So we had a hot start, but it looks like we're falling apart here at the end of the first. It's 3-2 Seattle. And that's the end of the first, so let's jump into the second. And Seattle keeps piling it on, but we try to work our way back with a Miller goal here. It's 4-3 Seattle. And Seattle keeps pounding them in, 5-3 now. All right, so we are down 2 heading into the third. Let's see if this team can mount a comeback. And it's not starting off well here in the third. Shane Wright gets on the board as well. And we're down by 3. We have a power play, maybe a little bit of life, but no, it switches to Seattle's power play and nothing comes out of those. All right, so we couldn't get started off on the right foot. We have a 6-3 loss to open up this season for the plus minus. So Barron and Miller, this wasn't too good. They were on the ice for 3 goals against, possibly even 4 because I don't think we scored a power play goal. So this isn't looking good as a top line pairing. I might have to move them down. Then we have Rasmussen, Granlund, and Duclair. Okay, so not too bad for this. We might need to keep an eye on our top pair here with Barron and Miller. So let's keep simming and we'll look back at them. All right, so we have another loss. This one is 3-0. Let's go take a look at the stats because I want to jump on this problem sooner rather than later if there is one. So let's see if Miller... All right, so Miller and Barron are absolutely struggling here. So I'm going to go shift them around. I might move them down to the second line pairing. All right, so here I move Girard and Romanov up to the first line, move Miller and Barron down to the second, and then we'll see if this can help them out and stop the bleeding, basically. All right, so they were both at -4. I'll sim another 2 games and see if that improves. All right, so we have a 3-2 loss and a 3-0 win. Let's go see if this helped Barron and Miller a little. All right, so they're still at -4, so it looks like it's helping. Hasn't made it worse, hasn't made it better. So let's leave them there for now, and then we'll move on from here and take another look at the end of the month. All right, so we have our first look here at scouting ranks. So let's go take a look. Okay, so we haven't uncovered much yet, but based on the central scouting ranks, we have this right wing here, Kent Brophy, as the #1 overall. Michael Misa, Jordan Gavin, Oscar Ottoson, and Gilbert Parks as the top 5. So as we uncover this, we'll be able to tell if it's really what it is. So we have started with our scouts here. You can see we've uncovered a few things. So let's keep it going. So a loss against St. Louis, a win against Nashville, a win against Detroit, and we have a trade offer. So let's take a look. No, 5.6 million is not something I want for the next 3 years when we're trying to rebuild and actually set ourselves up the way we want. So I will decline this right away. A win against the Avalanche, loss against Edmonton, and a win against Minnesota. So, okay, so we're back to 5-5. Let's take a look at the plus minus. I want to see if Miller and Barron have settled themselves out. And then if everything is good there, we'll be able to proceed for the next month. All right, so Miller and Barron still a -4. We're doing okay with that. I'm not worried at all. They're not really getting any points, but they're not letting anything in. So I'm happy with them on the second pair. And then our fourth line here, Kaliev, -5. I don't think there's much we can do about that one. But everything else is looking good. So let's leave it as is. And just a quick peek at what or who our point leader is. So again, Niederreiter, one of the reasons why I wanted to keep him around in the offseason. Quinn, Girard. The only one I'm worried about here is Jaxon Culp. He only has 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points in 10 games. And he's taking a ton of penalties. It was the same thing in preseason. It's the same thing now. If this does not change and he cannot produce while taking those penalties, we might need to take a big decision early on here in this franchise and see if this is actually the player we want to build around. So something to keep an eye out for this season. Okay, so let's sim another month. So let's get right through November here. All right, loss against Montreal, loss against Tampa. Okay, back-to-back wins here against Boston and Vancouver. All right, so we have our first injury of the season at the NHL level. So Duclair's been injured. So we will have the head coach replace the player, and then we'll go put Duclair back in once he is ready. All right, and another player we still hadn't signed is P.O. Joseph. He didn't agree to our deal. Nobody else wanted him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take a look, see if we actually want to sign him. Maybe his price has dropped. But before we do that, we have Girard that's been injured. So that's not good, but we'll have to get the head coach to replace the player, and we'll go update that later. All right, so we have Joseph here. We qualified him. How much does he want now? So he wants 2.75 for the year. For 2 years, he's already up to 4. So I'm going to sign him to 1 year, 2.5. And we'll see if he accepts, because I still want him to play. I want him to develop, but I didn't like the salary he was asking for. So let's see if he'll accept 2.5 for 1 year for now. So we'll advance a few days until he responds. Okay, so Duclair is going to be ready to go, so I'll go edit that after. And here we go. P.O. Joseph accepted. So let's go see what we can do with the lines in terms of defensemen to see if we want to put him in the lineup. Duclair is back in. All right, so I'm going to send Valimaki down. He's the player that doesn't fit in anything we're doing. And then I'll call up Joseph. If someone claims Valimaki, so be it. The only reason we kept him around was because we were waiting for Joseph anyways. And we have younger players waiting to come up that I want to keep. So let's see what happens. We might lose him, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. All right, so like I thought, Valimaki is going to Nashville. They've claimed him off waivers, but that's okay. That was a risk I was willing to take now that Joseph is back. All right, here's the lines that we're going to be using up until the point Girard comes back. So we have Harley and Joseph on the third, Baron Miller on second, York and Romanov on the top pair. Okay, so Girard is back. Let's add him in. All right, here we go. Girard, Romanov, Miller, Baron, York, and Joseph. So we got 2 back-to-back 3-0 wins, but then we lose against New Jersey. So let's take a look at the standings. So right now we are third in the Central at 12, 10, and 2. So it looks like a weaker division this year. So let's take advantage of that. Let's keep the momentum going, and let's go check out our stats. So our point leader is Girard, even though he missed 2 games. We have Granlund as well at 19. Novak, Niederreiter, and here we go. Culp finally picked it up a little bit. 7 goals, 5 assists. His penalty minutes are still way up, but at least he's putting points up on the board. Then for the goalies, absolutely incredible. 17 games for Swayman, 8-7 and 2. So the record's not showing it, but he has a 929 save percentage and a 222 goals against. So our scoring is an actual problem right now. Spencer Knight, 8 games, 4-3, 927, and a 218. So the goalies are doing their jobs. We just need to put some goals in the back of the net. So let's continue simming to the end of December, and then we will go and update our scouts. And a quick look at the draft class here. So Brophy, as our scouts established, is actually the #1 overall this draft. So he's an elite medium. So no franchise, it looks like this year. So Brophy is first. We also have some information on Ottoson. He's third. We also have Gavin, who's third. So the possibility is Gavin is third and Ottoson might be a second or fourth. We have Hamonic here, who's the 6th. So that means Parks is the 5, which is what the Central Scouting put them as. So our scouts are doing a good job so far. Let's keep it going. So a lot of overtime for us, but we are on a little bit of a winning streak here. 5 games in a row. Make it 6. And Romanov fractured his jaw. So he's going to be out for a little bit. Let's have the head coach replace the player here. But we keep the winning streak alive, but the Capitals ended it, and now we're on a little bit of a skid. All right, so this ends December. We are at 20, 13, and 4. So our month of December has been absolutely incredible. And in terms of standings, we are now second in the Central behind the Stars, who have 51 points. We have 44. The Blackhawks at 41 and the Wild at 37, rounding off the top 4. So it looks like we have a shot here at the playoffs, and it's looking good for us in year 2. All right, now for the scouting, what I'm going to do for this round of scouting, did the potential in comparison, that went well. There's a character assessment, which I don't really care about. There's a skills assessment that we should get, and strength and weaknesses, and the playing style. So I want to know what kind of player we are getting. So I'm going to do a round of playing style, and then I'm going to set it up for everybody, and we'll jump right back. Okay, so we're just wrapping up our scouting here. So it's been the playing style, and I've been going up until January 14th. It doesn't take very long for the scouts to figure this out. So let me just finish adding. So here you go, January 14th. This is all of our scouts assigned. So what we'll do is we'll sim to January 14th. Once we're done with that, we can come back in and then assign our scouts to the next step of the scouting process. All right, and just before we do that, little update on the stats. So Granlund is now our points leader at 30 points. He has 7 goals, 23 assists. Gerard, same thing, but 1 assist less. Novak, Duclair, Niederreiter in their 20s. Culp with 10 goals, 9 assists. But his penalty minutes keep climbing, so he's at 48 penalty minutes, twice as much as Romanov. So I don't know if there's anything we can do with that. And even if you go look at his stats, his discipline there under senses right in the middle, it's at 86. Like, I don't know how much higher this needs to be for him to stop taking penalties. We have Romanov here at 81. He gets half as less minutes. Josh Anderson gets so many minutes and he's at 66. So I don't know what this is all about. Hopefully that changes once he starts developing and we can lower those penalty minutes. But for now, this is what the team's looking like in terms of stats. So Culp is our goal leader. So exactly what we want from him, but he needs to trim down the penalty minutes. All right, here we go. Up until January 14th, just before the Anaheim game. So Romanov is available to come back. So let me take care of that. And right when we put him in, he breaks his jaw again. So head coach will take care of this one. All right, so here's a massive, massive injury right here. Anthony Duclair broke his wrist, and he's basically going to be out for the rest of this season. His return date is April 7th. So now we have a big decision to make. Do I want to trade to replace him? He's our top line winger, and our backups, both 77 overall, can't take care of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go investigate some trades. If I find anything, I'll come back. If I don't find anything, we'll just keep simming. So I will be right back. All right, so I went searching for some players that can play at right wing on our first line. One of the options I have here is Nick Schmaltz. He does have 2 years at 6.9, but I'm asking Arizona to retain 50%, that they are, 1, above the salary floor, but 2, I don't want to spend that much money on basically a replacement. In return, I'm willing to give them a first round pick for this year because it looks like we're going to be finishing pretty high up. Anyways, we have a lot of prospects in our prospect pool growing. And then I offered them Arthur Kaliev as well. He does not fit in our future plans. He still has 3 years at 1.9. Possibly something that they can use in return. They're not looking good this year at 18, 20, and 2 for Arizona. I'm going to offer this trade, see where it goes, and hopefully we can have a replacement for Duclair. All right, so this trade didn't go through. So the offer is filling needs that they have, but the value just isn't there. So let's see if we can add maybe a little bit of something to sweeten up the deal. All right, here we go. So here's our chance. I think I want to trade Hildeby. So he's been having an awful season. This goalie is not living up to the hype. Our test of seeing if tall goalies play good in simulation, complete flop. So let's add him to the deal as well. So Arizona would have more than 50, so that does not work. So it looks like we need to give them draft picks. So let's see what they want. So we're giving away our first this year. Let's keep our second, 2/3, a bunch of fourths. So maybe one of the fourths we can get rid of. So we'll give them our fourth for this year. And that sways the value pretty well where we need it. So let's try this. Okay, so apparently it's still insufficient. All right, so still no go for that. So it doesn't look like Nick Schmaltz is going to be happening. So another option I had, Kirby Doc. Let's see if Montreal is willing to move Kirby Doc. A first and a third for Doc. Let's try this. Okay, so it's too far off. A first and a second. Let's try this. Here we go. So we got ourselves Kirby Doc for a first and a second. But this one I'm okay sending the first and the second because it's not necessarily a rental. He's a young player that we can re-sign. So let's go see where he fits on our team. Here we go. Kirby Doc on the first line with Novak and Rasmussen. And then hopefully Granlund comes back soon and we can put him back here with Culp and Anderson. And in the meantime, I'll put Ridley Gregg here on the second and Stahl on the fourth. Here we go. This is our lines for the foreseeable future. All right, and let's continue on until the 14th. And here we go. Speak of the devil, Granlund is back. I'm going to give it a couple more days to make sure he doesn't get hurt again. And now Kaliev gets injured, so let's go move things around. All right, so here we are on the 14th. We have a 24-15-4 record. We are still second in the Central, ahead of the Blackhawks and the Blues, just trailing the Stars right now by 4 points. And for our points leaders, looks like Novak has taken the lead here, 36 points. And the trade we just completed with Kirby Doc, that now puts him in second in points. Let's see what he's done since he got with us. Only a couple games, I believe. So here we go. So in 3 games, he's got 1 assist, but 5 shots. So trying to find his footing here with us in Indiana. Culp with 29 points, 54 penalty minutes. Still a little high. Now for the scouting, what I want to do is we've done playing style. We've done potential and comparison. So now we have character assessment, skills assessment, strengths and weaknesses that we can do. I want to do skills assessment. Last year we waited too long to do that. So let's jump in, assign skills assessment to everyone, and we'll jump back when we're done. So all the scouts have been set for the skills and assessment up until March 8th around. So some are 6th, some are 7th, but most of them are 8th. So we'll sim up until March 8th, and then we can set the next set of scouting for our scouts. The trade deadline is February 28th, so we won't be able to get to March 8th. So we'll set the scouts in the next episode. But for now, we're basically ready to sim up until about the 26th I'm aiming for, see where our team's at, and trying to figure out what we want to do at the trade deadline. So let's do it. So a loss and a win. And Romanov is available to come back. I'll give him another couple days. I don't want him to break his jaw again. But before, let's take a quick look at our scouting here. So Brophy is still the #1 overall. Misa, based on our scouts, is number 5, not number 2. We have Otosen, who's now number 2 and not number 3. And Gavin, who's number 3 and not number 4. So our scouts, they're setting the bar right now. So basically, they're not following the central scouting anymore. We have our own set of requirements on how we want to rank these players. So as you can see here, this is a big one. Porter Martoni. So Central Scouting has him as 14th. We have him as 7th. So we're going to be seeing a lot of discrepancy like this now that our scouts are really in the swing of things. So we have Volchenkov here. Central Scouting has him as 18. We have him as 27th. So probably a player, if we get a pick around there, we're going to want to avoid. So as you can see, our scouting is working and helping right now. So good news all around. Let's go back to our simulations. And here we go. Arthur Kaliev is now available as well. So let's go to the edit lines. Let's get things back to normal. All right, so Kaliev back in his spot. So we have Doc here, Doc, Novak, Rasmussen, Culp, Granlund, Anderson, Niederreiter, Henrique, and Quinn, and Johnson, Greg, and Kaliev. So everything looking good. We'll leave it like that for now. Actually, I'm considering moving Niederreiter up and replacing Anderson. Let me just check the stats real quick. So 10 goals, 14 assists for Anderson. And 10 goals, 17 assists for Niederreiter. So pretty much the same thing. So Niederreiter is performing better on the third line than Anderson is doing on the second. So let's just do a quick swap. Let's try this out until the deadline, see if Niederreiter can produce a little bit more with Culp and Granlund. Now for the defense, we have Girard, and we're able to put Romanov back in now that he's almost completely healed from his broken jaw. Miller Barron, Joseph York. And in goals, we still have Swayman and Knight. Swayman, 89 overall still. Knight, an 85. I think he went up 1. So everything looking pretty good for now. And Kaliev is injured again. Okay, so Jack Quinn's been injured. So we'll just have the head coach replace player here. He should be back shortly. And Granlund's also been injured. So head coach, take care of that. And we have some breaking news here. The Avalanche have fired their head coach, Amrit Lindzen. So what we're going to do is I'm going to stop simulating. I want to go see if that coach fits our style. And it's someone we can bring in. All right, here we go. Amrit Lindzen here. So 63% fit. Perfect fit with Jaxon Culp. Not so much with Miller and Barron. There's a balance, shoot, energy, balance, balance, cycle, balance, balance. All right, so not quite what we're looking for here. So Emrit was not what we were looking for. So let's keep going. All right, so a win against Ottawa. Loss against San Jose, unfortunately. And now Novak goes down with the injury. All right, just before we stop here, let's do a couple simulations here. One at home against LA, and we'll do one away against Calgary, and we'll have an idea of what our team is looking like. So here we are at home against LA. Let's simulate the first period. So it's 1-1. We have Granlund with a power play goal. Fiala for the Kings. Let's simulate the second. And it's still 1-1. So let's just watch this third period here. So Kirby Doc gives us the lead 2-1 for Indiana. But Fiala with a power play goal of his own, 2-2. Indiana on the power play. And Josh Anderson gives us back the lead on the power play. So it's 3-2 Indiana. And the Kings trying to do the same on the power play, but nothing comes of it. And Ridley Gregg pots in a goal, 4-2. And here we go, 4-2 win on home ice against the Kings. And here we are away against Calgary. Let's sim the first. Actually, no, Jaxon Culp gives us the lead first. Then there's a power play, so let's sim the rest of the first. Backlund and Rasmus Anderson gives Calgary a 2-1 lead. So let's go through the second. And it's still 2-1. Now let's watch the third. Calgary in an early power play, nothing comes of it. And here we go, Granlund gives us a goal on the power play, 2-2. Half of the third gone. It's still 2-2. It looks like oh, here we go. Romanov gives us the lead, 3-2. And that gives us the win. I was just about to say it looks like we're about to jump into overtime, but Romanov said not today. And it's 3-2 Indiana on Calgary's home ice. Here we are on February 26th. This is where I want to leave it off for now. We are still second in the division. So the Stars with 79 points. The Steel with 72. Blackhawks and Wild rounding it off with 67 points apiece. So at a record of 33, 23, and 6, we're looking pretty good right now. Let's go check our stats. Let's see if there's any areas that we may want to improve on. And then you can post in the comments what you think we should be doing if you have any ideas. So let's take a look right now. All right, so here we are. The trade we did for Kirby Dach is paying off in spades right now. 19 goals, 34 assists. Obviously, all those were not all with Indiana. With Indiana, in 22 games, he has 20 points, so 8 goals, 12 assists, a +6, 45 shots, and his shooting percentage is through the roof at 17.8. So an absolute steal of a trade we did there. I know we had to send out a first and a second, but it looks like our first round pick is going to be a late one because right now it looks like we're poised for the playoffs and maybe even making a run at it. So I was okay giving up our first round for basically a proven commodity, a young player that can help us grow, and now it gives us a little bit more flexibility on what to do with Duclair. We also have Novak here with 52 points. So I think he's working really well with our new acquire in Kirby Dach. So here we go. 20 goals, 32 assists, 24 plus minus. And his shooting percentage is also pretty high at 18.2. Gerard, 47. Granlund, here we go. Culp, 19 goals, 17 assists, 36 points. But again, the penalty minutes are killing us. 104 penalty minutes versus 42 for Dach and 30 for Granlund and Anderson. So he just can't stay out of the box. Not sure how to fix that. If you have any ideas on how to fix his penalty minutes, let me know because I'd like to get this solved right now. So for the goal leaders, Novak, followed by Dach and Culp. So looking pretty good. Our assist leaders, Gerard, followed by Dach and Novak. So everything looking pretty good here. Let's just see if there's anything alarming in the plus minus. So Kaliev, Greg, and Johnson. So that fourth line, brutal, absolutely brutal. So maybe something we want to do here to fix this. Maybe it's time to move on from Johnson and Kaliev. I want to keep Greg around. So we might need to look at a left wing and right wing for the fourth line because this is absolutely ridiculous. Like even our players here, Kiviranta and Stahl, yes, they have a lot less games played, but it seems like they are performing better than those two. Now for the goalies, we have Spencer Knight here, has 10 wins, 5 losses, 1 loss in overtime, a .924 save percentage, and a .235 goals against average. So he's actually playing lights out when he's in nets. So that's good to have as a backup right now. And here we go, Jeremy Swayman, 23 wins, 18 losses, 5 losses in overtime. He has 4 shutouts, .916 save percentage, and a .263 goals against average. So both goalies playing incredibly well. So it's good to see. Now for our AHL stats. We couldn't get rid of Hildeby, so maybe something we want to look at the trade deadline because those numbers are awful. I think I'm going to go put the other goalie in, give him a chance for the rest of the season. But for Dustin Wolf, 54 games, 32 wins, 18 losses, .926 save percentage, .203 goals against average. Absolutely insane numbers. So he also has 10 shutouts. That is insane. Dustin Wolf is incredible right now. For our skaters, we have Otto Stenberg here, our next up-and-coming prospect, 54 points in 61 games. Chaz Lucius with 45 points in 56 games, so he missed a couple because of injury. Oliver Kapanen, 35 points. Seidenberg, 35 points. And Baudin with 35 points as well. So everybody participating on the score sheet here. Plus minus looking pretty okay for everybody. Nothing alarming here in terms of penalty minutes. So everything looking pretty good at the AHL level. So I like that. Let's go see where they rank in their standings. We might have a double playoff scenario happening here. So here we are, the North Division, the Fort Wayne Factories here at 72 points, 4th in the North Division. So it smells like playoffs. We have 1 point less than Toronto, but we're still ahead of them, which doesn't really make sense to me. Yeah, so not sure how this works. For some reason, we're still ahead of the Marlies, even though we have 1 point less. But hey, we're 4th. looks like we have the playoffs for both AHL and NHL right now. So like I said, Rasmussen, Novak, and Doc, I like this line. It's working well. Niederreiter, Granlund, and Culp, working well. If we can find a way to reduce Culp's penalty minutes, that'd be great, because right now it's just way too much, out of control. We have Quinn, Henrique, and Anderson on the third line. I think that line's doing well. But this fourth line is absolutely atrocious. Kaliev and Johnson need to go. I want to keep Ridley Gregg. He's only 22. But Johnson and Kaliev just are not working. So something we're going to be looking at the deadline. If you have ideas or suggestions of who might be available for line 4, let me know. For defense, Girard and Romanov, Barron and Miller, York and Joseph. Barron here, 2 goals, 8 assists. He's ±2, so moving them to the second pairing worked out. Okay, so I'm going to leave it off right here. Again, if you enjoy this series, please subscribe, leave a like, and comment on what you think we should be doing at the deadline coming up. And then in the next video, we'll go through the deadline, try to finish off the season, and see if we're in a position to make a run in the playoffs. So thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next video.